In at number 10, Martin Lawrence. On February 19, 1994, comedian Martin Lawrence was hosting Saturday Night Live. However, unbeknownst to the writers, he had adjusted his opening monologue a bit. As Lawrence went on about feminine hygiene in some very descriptive ways, Lorne Michaels was absolutely fuming. Following that live audible made by Martin, the monologue was then removed from all repeats and replaced with a voiceover instead. He was banned from ever hosting again, and Lorne would make sure that Martin would never even appear on the show, nor have his name mentioned by the cast. So essentially, Martin Lawrence is the Voldemort of Saturday Night Live. In at number 9, the Kardashians. Minutes after Khloe Kardashian tweeted this out, "I love Anderson Cooper, #SilverFox." Cooper said that if he could ban any guest, it would be the entire Kardashian family. While on Andy Cohen's show, Watch What Happens Live, Cohen and Cooper played a game called Plead the Fifth. The question posed to Anderson was, name one person you would ban from your show forever, and as I mentioned, the Kardashians were thrown quickly under the bus. Although Cooper said that it was all in good fun, we still have yet to actually see any of them appear on his show. Not that they have any political opinions they need to be spewing. In at number 8, Hugh Grant. While some accents may sound charming, Hugh Grant's personality canceled out any of that for Jon Stewart at The Daily Show. After appearing on the show, Jon Stewart said he was banning Grant for being a big pain in the ass. Stewart continued saying that he would never grant him back on the show, unintended. During an onstage Q&A, John remarked that they've had dictators on the show, but Hugh Grant was still his least favorite guest. Apparently, Hugh spent most of the day just complaining that he had to be there and even flat out said that he had better things to be doing, for which the staff of The Daily Show didn't really care to hear, nor did Stewart. So thanks to his high-maintenance attitude, he was banned from the show with zero apologies. In at number 7, Howie Mandel. Now you'd think because these two were co-hosts on the show America's Got Talent that they would have bonded a little bit, but nope. In fact, they probably would have liked each other more if they had never even met. During an interview with Billy Bush and Kit Hoover on Access Hollywood, Piers said, "I actually want to torture and dismember Howie. He is without a doubt the most annoying man in the history of planet Earth." Those are some harsh words, and after Howie pranked Piers one too many times, he outright banned Mandel from ever appearing as a guest on his independent live shows. In at number 6, Vince Vaughn. While promoting his new movie The Dilemma, they played a trailer on Ellen to promote the movie, and in the trailer was this line.
"Ladies and gentlemen, electric cars, they're totally gay."
Yeah, he said that on Ellen, live. You gotta imagine the network executives were sweating when that aired. For a long time, Vaughn was banned from ever appearing on the show again. However, after many years had passed and probably a few phone calls apologizing, the pair have made amends, and he did come back on 7 years later. In at number 5, Gilbert Gottfried. With the way Gottfried performs, you would think this rude dude would be a repeat guest on the Howard Stern show. And the funny thing is, no one actually knows why Gilbert was banned from the show in the first place. Some believe that it was from an interaction with Stern's wife, while others think that Howard got sick of having him on. Although Gilbert didn't really seem to care, as you can see from his Instagram post. He also then would team up with fellow band guest Artie Lang to make this video trolling Howard Stern.
Artie and me on with Howard tomorrow. Oh, no. Now, you know what? You can cut.
In at number 4, Jay Leno. Believe it or not, for our next celebrity live TV band, there's a Wikipedia page for it. It's called the 2010 Tonight Show Conflict, and man, oh man, is it jam-packed with late-night talk show drama. Jay Leno had been the host of The Tonight Show since 1992, and Conan had hosted Late Night since 1993. Both shows had excellent ratings, but when Conan's contract was ending, NBC promised him that they would make O'Brien the host of The Tonight Show, which was huge because it was in a much better time slot, and it's obviously a dream for most talk show hosts to do that. However, they neglected to tell Leno about any of this. So when Jay's contract ended, they shifted Conan into The Tonight Show spot, and Jay ended up going before primetime news. Unfortunately, both shows started to tank in the ratings, causing the networks to get nervous. After watching their views decline, they panic and ask the host to switch back. Leno was for it, Conan O'Brien, not so much. He instead took another offer and started his own show simply called Conan. And the first rule he put in order, Jay Leno was banned. In at number 3, Steven Seagal. Back in 1991, Steven Seagal wasn't chomping on carrots and using too much Just for Men in his beard. He was a big action star. So needless to say, most people were excited to see him hosting Saturday Night Live. Unfortunately, the cast found him extremely difficult to work with. Norm Macdonald even said that he told them he didn't want to be in any of the sketches, which is typically something that every host just does. He did eventually oblige their request, but the cast was so fed up with him that they almost did the show with no host at all. Seagal was then banned by Lorne Michaels immediately after for being, as he so eloquently put it, the worst host ever. In fact, in 2014, Michaels told New York Magazine that when Nicolas Cage was hosting, he worried that he wasn't doing well and said during his monologue that he hopes he wasn't the worst host ever. Without missing a beat, Lorne walked on stage to reassure him that no, that was Steve Seagal. In at number 2, Joan Rivers. The late great Joan Rivers was always a recurring and outstanding guest on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. His show was without a doubt what launched her career, and the two bonded over the years, with Rivers even getting the coveted spot on the couch next to Carson. However, when Joan was approached by several big television networks to start her own show, she did so without telling Johnny Carson. Many other guests had followed a similar trajectory, but each had asked for Johnny's blessing. Putting that on a shirt, they asked for Johnny Carson's approval, essentially. Johnny was devastated when Joan did this without telling him, namely because her show ran opposite him as competition. Carson then had NBC ban Joan Rivers from ever appearing on the show again, a rule that both Jay Leno and Conan O'Brien adhered to well after Johnny had passed away. Last but not least, at our number 1 spot, Kathy Griffin. Although the photo shoot had nothing to do with the live-to-air show, Kathy Griffin was blacklisted hard when this photo appeared online. In 2017, the comedian became a magnet for controversy after posting a photo of herself holding a ketchup-covered head that looked eerily similar to Donald Trump. I suppose the networks were frightened of this PR disaster, and so Leno, Conan, Ellen, The View, Live with Regis and Kelly, The Today Show, and Letterman all banned Kathy Griffin from coming on live TV. CNN would also go on to announce that they relieved Griffin of her New Year's Eve coverage duties, a job that she had with the network for close to a decade. President Donald Trump even responded to the graphic imagery when he tweeted this out: "Kathy Griffin should be ashamed of herself. My children, especially my 11-year-old son, Barron, are having a hard time with this. Sick." Griffin did end up apologizing and said that even as a comedian, she knows that she crossed the line, adding, "The image is too disturbing. I understand how it offends people. It was not funny. I get it."
Unless you're living under a rock, you know that Will Smith showed a completely different side of himself to the world at last night's Oscars. While comedian Chris Rock was speaking to the crowd and taking some digs at the celebrities in the audience, Rock decided to take a jab at Jada Pinkett Smith, and I'm sure he regrets it right about now. Chris said, quote, "Jada, love you, G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it," referencing her almost bald head, because in the movie G.I. Jane, the lead actress Demi Moore had a shaved head. Jada has been open about her struggle with alopecia, and she was likely forced to wear her hair this way because she's not able to grow hair completely. Immediately after the joke, Will Smith decided to get up, interrupt the broadcast, and slap Chris Rock right in the face for millions to see. Chris looked stunned and was not sure exactly how to respond. Will walked back to his seat and yelled, quote, "Shut your mouth, keep your wife's name out of your effing mouth," twice. The internet was set ablaze by this slap, with many not even sure if it was real or just staged for publicity. But considering the aftermath, there's no doubt in my mind that this was a spur-of-a-moment decision from Will. Although many pointed out that Will actually laughed at the joke moments before deciding to get up and slap Chris Rock. Now it's controversial, with many surprisingly defending Will for this slap, claiming Chris Rock's joke was out of line. However, the majority seem to believe it's never right to attack a person and are hoping that Smith faces some sort of repercussion for his actions. Let's get into the reasons why this move might have completely destroyed his career. Firstly, he deflected the blame. Moments after the slap, the award for Best Actor was presented. This was the award that Smith was favored to win. Many were not sure if he would be asked to leave the show, or if the Oscars might actually change the winner to someone else at the last moment. However, he did win the award for his portrayal of Richard Williams in the movie King Richard, based on the father of tennis stars Venus and Serena Williams. When he came up to accept the award, fans were hoping that he would apologize to Chris Rock and the fans, but he did not, and he actually deflected the blame, even comparing himself to Richard Williams. Smith said in part, quote, "Richard Williams was a fierce defender of his family. I'm being called in on my life to love people and to protect people and to be a river to my people. I know to do what we do, you gotta be able to take criticism. You gotta be able to have people talk crazy about you. In this business, you gotta be able to have people disrespecting you. And you gotta smile, you gotta pretend like it's okay." He also added, quote, "Love will make you do crazy things." He later apologized to the Academy and his fellow nominees, but many did not think this apology went far enough, especially since he deflected the blame for the action beforehand, blaming his instincts to protect his family for deciding to do an unprecedented action at the most prestigious award show there is. One fan wrote on Twitter after the speech, quote, "All the media outlets tweeting about Will Smith apologizing in his acceptance speech were clearly watching a different award ceremony. Smith's tearful speech did not include an apology to Chris Rock. So clearly, in my opinion, he is not sorry to Chris Rock." Next up, showed his true colors. Will Smith has been long considered one of the nicest and most humble A-list celebrities there is, but after this incident, people are starting to think differently of him, because no truly nice person would do what Will Smith did. Maybe this is the type of person he's actually been all along, and the nice guy image that he's cultivated is fake, with many comparing him to other celebrities like Ellen DeGeneres, who was exposed for being mean. Many tweets online after the incident accused Smith of showing his true colors with his action. It essentially took him less than 5 seconds to decide to not only physically harm someone, but to disrespect the Oscars and everyone else that was there that night. I guess people will make their own decisions about his character moving forward, but for a lot of fans, their opinion of him has changed. Didn't apologize to Chris Rock. Since Will Smith won the award for Best Actor just moments after slapping Chris Rock, many thought he would take this time to apologize to Chris Rock for the insane move. But he didn't. He apologized to almost everyone else other than the person that he hit. During his speech, Smith said, quote, "Denzel Washington said to me, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you." Adding, quote, "I want to apologize to the Academy, I want to apologize to my fellow nominees," at no point mentioning Chris Rock. Then he tried to lighten the mood by saying, quote, "Art imitates life. I look like a crazy father just like they said, but love will make you do crazy things." Other celebrities are vocal against him. After the shocking altercation, some celebrities took to Twitter to share how much they disagree with Will Smith's actions. Director Judd Apatow was probably the most vocal, who said in a series of tweets, quote, "Seems like Will Smith's plan to get comedian and the world not to make jokes about him is not going to pan out. The Williams family must be furious, pure narcissism. Also, G.I. Jane was gorgeous, what exactly is insulting about being compared to a ripped, stunning Demi Moore?" He then replied to a tweet that mentioned that he did what he did because Chris Rock was insulting her alopecia. Apatow doubled down, writing, quote, "He could have killed him. That's pure out of control rage and violence. They've heard a million jokes about them in the last 3 decades. They are not freshmen in the world of Hollywood and comedy. He lost his mind." Apatow has since deleted these tweets. Kathy Griffin also chimed in, tweeting out, quote, "Let me tell you something. It's very bad practice to walk up on stage and physically assault a comedian. Now we all have to worry about who wants to be the next Will Smith in comedy clubs and theaters. Blacklisted from other award shows." It's not a stretch to think that other award shows might not allow Will Smith to attend after he slapped a host while they were presenting. The Academy tweeted after, quote, "The Academy does not condone violence of any form. Tonight we are delighted to celebrate our 94th Academy Awards winners who deserve this moment of recognition from their peers and movie lovers around the world." Clearly, they did not want to publicly trash one of their winners, but I'm sure they are not happy with what took place. And finally, he could get arrested. Just a reminder that what Will Smith did was illegal, and he could have easily been arrested and charged. The LAPD said in a statement after the Oscars, quote, "LAPD investigative entities are aware of an incident between 2 individuals during the Academy Awards program. The incident involved one individual slapping another. The individual involved has declined to file a police report. If the involved party desires a police report at a later date, LAPD will be available to complete an investigative report." So clearly Chris Rock is not deciding to file any charges, thankfully for Will Smith, but if they don't reconcile, nothing is stopping Rock from pressing charges at a later date, so hopefully Will Smith apologizes.
At number 10, Mariah Carey. We all know Mariah Carey as the skinny legend that she is, but lately people have been saying that her career is over. Though she's still out here making music and living her best life, there are some who say that her career is over, and it all ended in 2016 during a live mishap that happened at her New Year's Rockin' Eve performance. After building up to her huge performance at the end of the night, she finally took the stage and didn't sing a single note. When she got up to perform, the music started playing and she just stood there saying that she couldn't hear anything, probably in reference to nothing playing in her earpiece. As the music started playing for the audience, Mariah's dancers kept on going in the background and she shared her mic with the audience, getting them to sing for her, but nothing ever came out of her mouth. It was a letdown for a lot of people, and it got a lot of fans wondering why she didn't sing even though there was music playing. For a while now, people have wondered if she's been lip syncing, and there is some evidence to maybe back this up, but what do you guys think? Is Mariah faking it, and is her career really over? At number 9, Carmen. When you're trying to make a name for yourself, engagement is everything. For a lot of performers, they try to get out in front as many people as possible and attract more fans, because doing so will help you grow faster, making you famous. One of the biggest assets you could have when growing your audience is having a successful guest appearance on a late night show like SNL, because of how many viewers can tune in and watch you grow. This is how Lana Del Rey started, but this blessing can also be a curse and can end a few careers as well. Carmen was a music duo who got their start on YouTube by posting covers, though now it's been disbanded and rebranded, and there was a time when they almost reached fame after being musical guests on SNL, but after tanking their performance, they lost it all. They had a large following, and so when the casting director over at SNL found them and invited them to perform on the show, things started to look promising. They came on the show and performed their songs Broken Hearted and I Told You So, and after their performance, the reviews came pouring in, and they weren't very positive. They faced a lot of criticism, saying that they failed to connect with the audience, and one review even claimed that the duo's performance caused, quote, mild auditory distress. After this catastrophic performance, things weren't ever the same, and their careers were pretty much over after that night. At number 8, Paula Deen. Paula Deen was once the wholesome southern mom who loved to cook, but after 2013 she took on a very different label after a lawsuit revealed her racist actions to the world. In 2013, Paula was facing legal action from one of her former employees who alleged that Paula was racist towards her and that she had repeatedly been harassed while working at one of her restaurants. After being deposed, the truth came out about Paula when asked if she had ever used the N-word, and she said yes. After this came out, the floodgates opened and backlash ensued. As anyone would do, Paula went on the defense and even sat down for an interview on the Today Show, but instead of owning up to her actions and trying to clear her name, as most people would try to do in that situation, Paula instead deflected the criticism she was facing and even voiced how she was surprised that so many people were taking offense towards her actions. It was thought that this interview was all for publicity, not for making a public apology, and after this, her career was pretty much done for because there was no coming back from this scandal, especially because she never apologized. At number 7, Charles Rocket. The 1980/1981 season of Saturday Night Live was a rocky and controversial one. This all started after executive producer Lorne Michaels took a step back from the show for a year, and the position was filled by Gene Dumandian. Because of this position change, most of the cast left, prompting Gene to have to hire a new cast. This new cast is full of new faces and was untested, so at this point the show was facing a lot of criticisms and bad reviews. Things went from bad to worse for everyone after comedian Charles Rocket dropped an F-bomb during a skit. SNL skits have been quite controversial in the past, and they still face backlash from time to time, but swearing on live TV was really where the show drew the line, and breaking that cardinal rule could be detrimental to your career. During the season's 11th episode, Charles was closing out the show and decided to let an F-bomb fly while referencing a skit that he did earlier where he said, quote, "This is the first time I've been shot in my life. I'd like to know who the F did it," end quote. People seem to believe that he swore on purpose because if you watch the footage back, there isn't any hesitation when he said it. But it could have just been that he didn't know that he couldn't say it, or he didn't realize that he had said it until later. Either way, this was the last straw for the studio, and they fired much of the cast and crew, including Gene and Charles. This whole scandal came so close to sinking the entire show for good, but it did end up destroying Rocket's career after this. At number 6, Jenny Slate. Sometimes your career can make or break you. Doing your job really well can pay off later down the line, but if you mess up, there can be some consequences. The messing up part applies to comedian Jenny Slate because after an incident on SNL cost her job, her career may have been set back a little. Though she's found a lot of success now, back in 2009 when she worked on SNL, she was pretty new to the industry and was looking for something to bring her career to new heights. When she was hired on SNL as a writer and performer, things were looking great for her, but all that excitement turned sour after her first on-air performance. In her first appearance as a member of cast on the show, she was performing one of the sketches that she wrote, and while on air she accidentally switched up one of her lines, making it a little more adult and dropping an F-bomb. She quickly caught herself saying it, but it was too late. Unfortunately, you can't put the words back in once they've left your mouth. She tried to brush it off, pretending like no one else heard it, but unfortunately people did hear it. This mistake stuck with her for the rest of the time that she worked there, and she ended up leaving the show after one season. She was fired at the end of the season, not necessarily because of the F-bomb incident, but because she, quote, didn't do a good job and didn't click. Because she got fired from such a big-time production, it took a little for her to get back on her feet, but she's been doing great since. A minor setback, but nothing major. At number 5, Ashlee Simpson. This is one of the cringiest SNL moments and is sometimes referred to as the worst moment in SNL history. Though that's a bit of an extreme title, it was a doozy of a scandal and no one was quick to forget about it, especially Ashlee. In 2004, Ashlee Simpson was invited on SNL as their musical guest to perform a few songs to promote her newest album at the time, Autobiography. She planned to perform a few songs from said album, and things went off without a hitch as she got into her first song, Pieces of Me. Her performance went pretty well and she got the audience hyped for another song, but that's when things started to go south. As the band set up for the next song, music started playing, but it wasn't what anyone was expecting to hear. A vocal track for Pieces of Me started playing again instead of the next song in her set, revealing that Ashlee had been lip-syncing that whole time. She froze on stage, clearly embarrassed, and then she started doing a little embarrassing dance before running off the stage as the show cut to commercial. She tried to brush it off later when they came back on the air, but the cringe was just too much for people to handle. Later on, we found out that Ashlee was advised by her father to have the vocal track and just lip sync because she'd been suffering from some severe acid reflux that had been causing damage to her vocal cords, and he just wanted her to rest her voice a little. It was only good intentions that got her into that predicament, but people say that this was the moment that destroyed her career. At number 4, Janet Jackson. The Super Bowl halftime show is the one moment a year that millions of people tune in to watch the same thing. People turn off their reality TV programs and reruns of Jeopardy to grab a snack and watch the year's biggest performance. Well, during the 2004 Super Bowl halftime show, viewers watched a serious wardrobe malfunction happen that was life-changing to say the least. Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake were performing together when a move went wrong and Janet's breast ended up getting exposed. Following the incident, the media dubbed Nipplegate, the FCC sued CBS for the live incident in a $550,000 lawsuit citing indecent exposure for their cause. Janet Jackson was really put through the ringer for her part in the whole scandal. As a result, she was uninvited to the Grammy Awards that year, and her songs were blacklisted from the radio. Even the next few albums that she released following the incident was met with negative reviews because of the scandal. If this were to happen now, I doubt she would have been met with such severe backlash. Do you? It was later discovered that this whole incident happened because the two performers had added a costume reveal into their performance at the last minute, and though it was rehearsed, the stunt failed at the last minute, resulting in Janet's exposure. It was all just an accident that ended up destroying someone's career. At number 3, Sinead O'Connor. SNL has been hit with controversies in the past, but I think one of the biggest ones I can think of is the one surrounding Sinead O'Connor, the Catholic Church, and SNL. On October 3rd, 1992, Sinead was invited on the show and was asked to perform a few songs from her newest album at the time, and she agreed, but had one request. Instead of performing one of her original songs, she opted to sing a cover of Bob Marley's song War. Though it was a bit of a bizarre request, they allowed it, and so Sinead got up on stage and performed a very dramatic rendition of the song, even switching up some of the lyrics to change the context and meaning. Her performance all led up to where Sinead really made a huge statement where she tore up a photo of the Pope saying, quote, "Fight the real enemy." Apparently, this whole performance was designed to be a stunt as a means to raise awareness about how the Catholic Church had allegedly been hurting people. Sinead recalled having known people who were hurt by members of the church and she wanted to fight back on their behalf. Well, instead of this helping people like she wanted it to, it instead killed her career, as for the days following this live stunt, the network received thousands of angry calls. Even some celebrities spoke out condemning Sinead for this. Her career never really recovered from this moment, but she still stands by her decision to pull the stunt anyway. At number 2, Milli Vanilli. In the 90s, there was a huge music scandal that ended careers and ended in tragedy. The lip sync scandal that surrounded Milli Vanilli was one of music's biggest scandals, and it revealed that they were never really a real group and that everything was fake. This stage act was put together by German record producer Frank Farian as he attempted to create the next biggest music stars. It worked in theory, but they fell from grace as quickly as they rose. He had a vision to be able to release amazing music, but he needed the perfect people to sell it, and that's where Morvan and Politis came into play. These two dancers were hired to be the bright, shining faces of Milli Vanilli, and though it was a musical act, they never had to sing. In fact, they lip-synced their entire career. Their act was a hit and it worked for a while, even earning themselves a Grammy for their song Girl You Know It's True, but like all good things, they can never last. Milli Vanilli conquered the Billboard charts, they were asked to tour and perform live, but things started to get difficult for them since this act never really sang, and playing pretend on stage just wasn't cutting it. Eventually, they were caught in the act, so to speak, as their track suddenly stopped working during a live performance, revealing that they were faking it all along. This took a big toll on Morvan and Paulides, especially on their mental health, driving Paulides to take his own life. And finally, at number 1, Natalia Kills. How mean is too mean? Well, for former X Factor New Zealand judge Natalia Kills, she was too mean. After casting some harsh judgment on an X Factor contestant, Natalia was dubbed a bully and saw her career go down the tubes as a result. On the show's second season, contestant Joe Irvin performed a rendition of Michael Bublé's Cry Me a River, and when he finished his performance, that is when all hell broke loose. Natalia criticized his performance harshly, saying that he was a copycat of her husband, saying that he made her feel disgusted and sick. She also said, quote, "As an artist who respects creative integrity and intellectual property, I'm disgusted at how much you have copied from my husband. From the hair to the suit, do you not have any value or respect for originality? You are a laughingstock, it's cheesy, it's disgusting. I personally found it absolutely artistically atrocious," end quote. A lot of people were shocked at how harsh her criticisms were, and so many people were appalled by Natalia's behavior that a petition was made to have her and another judge who was also a little too harsh removed from the show. The petition worked and they were both booted midway through the season. Following this incident, Natalia was shunned and even went as far as changing her name to deflect some of the scrutiny that she was facing. Her career was truly over after this moment.
Kicking off our countdown at number 10 is Cardi B. She exposed herself on this one when she decided to get into a fight at the 2018 New York Fashion Week party. It's not technically an award show, it was a Harper Bazaar Icons party, but this story is honestly just too good not to include. Video clips and pictures started going viral online after a fight started between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj and ended with Cardi throwing her red heels at Nicki. Bodyguards were holding them back and it was pure chaos, not to mention very strange seeing them have this like petty altercation while wearing beautiful gowns and high heels. We later found out why they were fighting when Cardi posted about it on social media and said that Nicki brought up her parenting, and that was when she lost it. Apparently, Nicki made comments about her as a mother, and things just happened to heat up when she confronted her about it at the party. Time and place, ladies, for an altercation. Time and place. In spot number 9, we have Joe Jonas. He was hoping for a badass entrance instead of an embarrassing moment during his performance at the AMA Awards in 2007. What sucked the most was that his accident happened at the very beginning of the performance, so he just had to shake it off and continue. What happened was the performance started with 3 glass panels in front of each of the Jonas Brothers, and then they shattered in front of them before they made their entrance onto the stage. But Joe tripped as he crossed the threshold and fell to the ground and cut his hand on broken glass. He got up quickly and continued on with his performance despite visibly bleeding from the gash on the palm of his hand. When asked about it backstage, he just shrugged it off and said, "It is just a little blood. Look like you need stitches, bro, but that's alright." Moving on to number 8, we have Faith Hill. This incident had fans baffled at first because people were confused and shocked with her reaction at the Country Music Awards in 2006. The winner was announced for the Female Vocalist of the Year, and Faith Hill was one of the nominees amongst other singers, including Carrie Underwood. When their winner was announced, Carrie had won, and the camera showed Faith's reaction to her win, and she was angry. She screamed, "What?" and stormed away, and of course people reacted to her reaction. It looked like she was freaking out over the loss, but then she later came back and said that it was a joke. She said, "The idea that I would act disrespectful towards a fellow musician is unimaginable to me. Carrie is a talented and deserving female vocalist of the year." I don't get the joke. Why would you do that? It like ruined the moment because I was watching your reaction instead of Carrie's. Anyways, okay, funny joke, Faith. Nightmare number 7 spot is Beyonce. She's definitely not to blame for this one, as we all know accidents can happen during a live performance. Malfunctions happen all the time, and hers just so happened at the MTV European Music Awards back in 2003. What is an artist supposed to do when their backtrack starts going crazy? It was during her performance of Baby Boy when her backtrack started skipping and kept repeating one line over and over again. The line was, "Baby boy, you are so damn fine." At first, she kept her performance going while trying to sing over the soundtrack, but eventually she just gave up. As it clearly was not going in her favor. She ended up just waving to the audience and walking off stage. I would have done the same. I mean, when your track is skipping, no one's gonna hear what you're singing at that point. Halfway through our list, at number 5 is the Pussycat Dolls. It's hard to imagine them having a bad performance because they are always on point with their vocals and choreography. But one performance stands out more than the rest, and that's because it did not go as planned. It was at the 2006 AMAs when they had a very strange performance of their song Buttons. At one point, one of the chairs they had in the choreography fell over halfway through the performance. But the more bizarre part was when one of the dolls showed up on stage with only 40 seconds left in the song, and then from there, things just got weird very fast. She came into the song and started singing over Nicole, the lead singer, in this off-pitch, very high tune, while the other girls just continued their choreography, which she wasn't a part of because she's late and showed up with 40 seconds left. Honestly, I watched the clip, I've never seen it before, and it was the most awkward performance I've ever seen. People watching at home were obviously very confused and wondered why she even showed up to the performance with only 40 seconds left. Just let them continue their choreography and song, they were killing it. It was so weird, so weird. In spot number 4, we have J-Lo. She exposed herself during one of her performances, but it definitely was not planned. Back in 2009, she took a fall during her performance at the AMAs while she was attempting this little mini stunt. Her choreography had her climb up the other dancers as human stairs, and then when she reached the top, she jumped off really high into the air, not expecting to land on her butt. The good news is J-Lo is a pro and she shook it off like it didn't even happen. She jumped up immediately after falling down and she was able to finish her performance, which was a knockout, by the way. It looked painful, not gonna lie, but it was a quick mishap that she handled like a champ. Taking over the 3rd spot is Sam Smith. His embarrassing fail was one big misunderstanding, but people didn't know that until after it had already happened. At the 2016 Oscars, he was accepting the award for Best Original Song, and during his speech he implied that he was the first openly gay man to win an Oscar. He said he was referring to a quote from Ian McKellen, but McKellen had been responding to a question about openly gay actors. So when Sam Smith was apparently quoting him, it sounded like he was saying that he was the first openly gay man to win an award. But people quickly said men like Elton John and many other people paved the way for him in the industry. Turns out though that is not what Sam was trying to say, and he made sure to clear that up, but people were already judging him by that point, thinking that's what he meant. Taking over the number 2 spot is Angelina Jolie. This is by far the weirdest award show moment of all time, and many people, including myself, are still very confused by it. Angelina both shocked and confused people in 2000 when she attended the Oscar Awards and kissed her brother on the lips on the red carpet. Not like a quick kiss, like when you're greeting someone, you're like a quick little thing. No, it was like this big, romantic looking, strange kiss. She had won the award for Best Supporting Actress that night, and in her acceptance speech she gave thanks to her brother, who she claimed to be in love with. She said, "I'm in shock and I'm so in love with my brother right now. He just held me and said he loved me, and I know he's happy for me, and thank you for that." Then later in the evening she posed for photographers with her award in hand and her brother by her side, and that is when they shared this kiss on the lips. Obviously, the media was going crazy about it, but when she was asked about it, she said it was nothing more than brotherly love and that her parents loved the picture of them kissing. This is so weird to me, y'all. And our number 1 spot is Nicki Minaj. While she exposed herself at the same time, she was actually trying to expose Miley Cyrus when she called her out in front of everyone at the 2015 VMAs. Celebrity drama happens all the time, so that's no surprise, but to start an argument during the middle of an award show is really not the time or place. Miley was hosting the show and found herself in a scandal right in the middle of her hosting gig. Nicki was accepting the award for Best Hip Hop Video for Anaconda, and while giving her speech, she looked across the room to the other stage that Miley was on and said, "And now back to this bitch that had a lot to say about me the other day in the press. Miley, what's good?" The whole room went silent immediately, and it was super uncomfortable to watch. Miley herself looked totally shocked, and she tried to quickly recover just by saying the media often twist their words. The two of them later worked it out off stage, but the award show was hella awkward.